So you can throw out that scientific definition of water, but because people don't know it, then they automatically assume, well, because of the way you're doing it, the way you're phrasing the question, this must be something deadly. And it's the lack of knowledge that these people are exploiting. And
hold on, Doc, hold on for a minute, because since you mentioned that, it's actually known as the dihydrogen monoxide hoax. Again, that's water, ladies and gentlemen. The dihydrogen monoxide hoax involves listing negative effects of water under unfamiliar scientific names, then asking individuals to help control the seemingly dangerous substance caused by most people, known to the world as monoxide, as part of the name of the poisonous gas. The hoax is designed to illustrate how the lack of scientific knowledge and the exaggerated analysis can lead to misplaced fears. Dihydrogen monoxide, shortened to DHMO, is a scientific name for water that, while technically correct, is almost never employed. Now, this is a Wikipedia propaganda piece that I just noticed. This wasn't here yesterday. I just clicked on this from Wikipedia, and suddenly they changed it, I guess, to counter me, as I did a show about it yesterday. But no, it's not twisting it. You can go out and say, should we ban dihydrogen monoxide? And most people will say yes, okay, without even listing bad effects. So see, they're very upset that we're showing their fraud now. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and of course, I said it is that exploitation of lack of knowledge. But just to look at the CO2 thing for a second. First of all, the idea is out there that it's the most important greenhouse gas. It isn't. Water vapor is by far the most important greenhouse gas. CO2 is less than 4%. But the basic assumption they make in their theory is that, if CO2 traps heat, so if CO2 in the atmosphere increases, and it will because humans are producing more, then the temperature will increase. That's fundamental to their theory. The problem is the evidence shows exactly the opposite. That the ice core record of 420,000 years shows that temperature changes before CO2. CO2 does not drive temperature.
It follows, 700 years after it on average?
There's about an 800-year lag, but that can be as low as 80-year lag. And one of the reasons they've stopped talking about global warming and started talking about climate change is because they've got this problem that since 2000 the global temperature's been declining.
That's because the sun has now started cooling.
Yeah, exactly. But the CO2 continues to go up, so they've got this great problem of evidence that completely contradicts what they're arguing.
Well,
so they simply shift the goalpost.
Absolutely. Please continue.
Well, what I'm saying is that they've shifted the goalpost from global warming, and now it's climate change. Well, you've only got to look at any brief period, and you know that the climate changes dramatically all the time. You say, well, why then are the public caught up in that? The fundamental Western view of the world is what is called the uniformitarian view. That is, that change is very gradual over long periods of time. It goes back to Darwin and to Charles Lyell, the geologist, and so on. And Darwin needed a much older world for his evolutionary theory to occur. So he says, okay, well, the change is gradual over long periods of time. That's built in now. So if you assume in your education that change is gradual, and then suddenly somebody says, here's a sudden change. Oh, that's not natural. That must be something those humans are doing. And this is the game that's being played.
And again, I'm not going to get into a debate about Darwin. The point is, this is a guy 170 years ago coming up with this stuff 150 years ago, and now everything he quotes said the world works this way. They then build all reality around that. It's like saying the Earth is still the center of the universe, because we now know that actually evolutionary changes are fast. They're sudden.
Yep, exactly. And one of the examples of that is and I've looked at all the textbooks in North America and in Europe, most of them are still telling the students that the Earth's orbit around the sun is a fixed elliptical orbit. In fact, it isn't fixed at all. The orbit changes every single year. And it goes from almost circular, as it is now, to extreme ellipse, as it was just 22,000 years ago. And the change is caused by the gravitational pull of the planet Jupiter. And so people say, well, that's new information. No, it isn't. We've known that information for 150 years, yet we're still telling our students that the orbit of the Earth is fixed and unchanging. And we've got this throughout our system, that our view of the world is wrong. And yet it's built right into our science.
Professor, something I just noticed here. admit that water is life-giving and oxygen is life-giving, but they play it down on Wikipedia about carbon dioxide and describe it as some type of devil weapon. I bet soon they're going to say water's evil. I mean, I'm not kidding. I think the public will buy that water is a toxic devil weapon.
Well, they'll pick on anything to achieve their goals, and of course Wikipedia and the way that is manipulated with people like William Connolly and these other people that go in there and put in their view of the science, and the minute you try to correct it, it's immediately corrected back.
But you know that this is now the #1 reference source, and it's absolute crap. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, what they did was they made sure that if you put in something like, say, ocean currents, the first source that comes up on Google is the Wikipedia source. They've arranged that. And when I talk to high school students, how many of you use Wikipedia? Well, all the hands go up. And I said, how many of you are aware that it can be changed by anybody? That you can go in and edit it, but there are groups of people who monitor it and make sure that only their information, what they want out there.
Stay there. Timothy F. Ball, give out some of his websites, books, materials. Amazing. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, the head of GM comes out and says global warming is a complete scam. Rex Tillerson won't go along with it at ExxonMobil, and the Rockefellers come out of their hole and say, we own the company, you're gone. Because they need that global tax, believe me, it has nothing to do with the earth. And all the science shows lowest level of carbon dioxide ever is what plants breathe. Then they make oxygen as the byproduct for us. This symbiosis is what lets us live. We're healthier when there's more oxygen, but I think they're going to start SWAT teaming you if you're found to have oxygen at your house. And I'm not even joking. I think, it'll be like, we're looking for oxygen. He had 1 kilo of it. It was a devil. I mean, I guess Professor Dr. Timothy F. Ball, Ph.D., I guess it's that the public has been so dumbed down by public education. But a lot of people aren't buying this now. So as you said, now it's just climate change, and they're going to order our lives and tell us how to live and what to do because they're the guardians of the earth. And by darn it, humans are evil, and we have to exterminate the majority of you, and this is for your own good.
Well, and of course, one of the things people forget is that part of the limits to growth and the Club of Rome was the whole thing about overpopulation, and they made that a big issue. And of course, it was Al Gore that organized the conference on population in Egypt, Cairo, Egypt, a few years ago. And of course, the question you've got to ask is, well, who are you going to eliminate? Which groups are you going to get rid of? And the fact is, the world isn't overpopulated at all. You can put the world population into surprisingly small areas in very comfortable conditions.
You can also build upwards, and besides, world population is going to plane off at 8.5 billion. The UN admits, and then it's going to start dying because once you industrialize, you have an average of about 1.6 children.
Well, exactly, and countries that are already experiencing that. Italy is offering a financial reward for any couple that has a third child.
Russia, Germany.
Yep.
Japan.
And you look at China, where they try to deal with the population problem, they've created the situation now where there's an absolute shortage of women.
Well, sir,
the one child per family.
Sir, they're trying to corner the market on water, grab it, double the price, tell you it's because it scares fresh water. They're trying to do all of this right now. How do we stop them? Because they're having governors announce it, corporations announce it. I mean, it's a full court press. This is the new tyranny. How do we stop it?
Well, I think that there's several things going on. First, to understand that change follows a sawtooth pattern. That is that somebody starts raising questions about what's going on, and then very gradually more and more people get onto it, and programs like yours that bring it to attention, and then all of a sudden, overnight, the change will occur. I mean, if you look at smoking and so on, for a long time, then suddenly, bang, and now it's completely unacceptable almost to smoke. And so that's what you have to realize. That these things take time, and the word's getting out there. The second thing is, of course, that the Mother Nature's doing a great job by cooling the Earth down and making all of their predictions look absolutely foolish.
Why is it that every time they have a big global warming summit, they have record cold weather and it's blizzarded out?
Well, it's wonderful. Yeah, I like that. So you've got the fact that the Earth is cooling. The other thing that's happening is that already some of their policies that have been implemented, and only the more extreme ones
are wreaking havoc.
Well, the ethanol thing, for example, and by the way, that's being aggravated by cool weather. The southern hemisphere has been cooling for 20 years.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, we've had bad crops the last 4 years because of record cooling. Stay there, doctor, professor, top expert on climate, water, ice. I mean, his bio is 85 million miles long, but we'll be right back with him on the other side of this 70-second break. Transmission continues.